Alright, we back with another continuation on what if Goku landed in the Marvel world, alright? We'll get straight to it, but if you like the video, like, comment, and subscribe, all that. Especially comment. I like reading y'all's comments. Alright, here we go. Let's get into it. Alright. This episode is going to be titled A Battle of Beasts, X versus Z. Alright, let's keep it going. So this is where we left off. Alright. Our protagonist Goku went to the land of Wakanda after he left the Savage Lands. Had his little face off against the Dora Milaje. Ended up meeting up with Man Ape, which led him to Wakanda, where he faced off against T'Challa, a young T'Challa, and after a hard-fought battle, T'Challa was victorious and took Goku under his wing, and trained him in certain arts, and even gave Goku a phone, or really like a GPS, to go to his next location. All right, that's where we left off. And he was heading to the Henan province in China. That's where he was heading. All right, let's get to it. All right, so Goku is lying asleep, dreaming about what T'Challa had told him on his way out. All right, we're going to read it again. All right, the most important thing T'Challa taught Goku. All right, he told him, as you know, Goku, you are not a normal man. I'm not even sure you are a human at all, but your specific origins are irrelevant to this lesson. The fact of the matter is that you are anything but a normal boy, and you should conduct yourself accordingly to your potential. In the same way that I utilize my panther suit as my means of extending my abilities, you need to harness your own potential in a similar fashion. After all, your body is like a panther suit in of itself. Therefore, continue to upgrade and synergize the suit you possess, but maintain the spirit of an earthly man that resides within you, my young friend. Alright, so Goku is just thinking about this in his dreams. It's just playing back and back in his head. Alright. But then he just wakes up. Alright. On his next adventure. And this is when Goku's on his travel transportation. Now remember, in the first part, Goku travels on Savage Land creatures. Instead of a Nimbus from the canon. Alright. Now he's looking at his GPS trying to find the Henan province, but he ends up dropping his phone into the sea. And so now he has no idea where he's at, but he knows he's heading towards Asia. Alright, so he just goes, goes with his gut saying, oh, I think this is where it was. Not too sure. He ends up landing in Madripoor. Alright, for those of you who know that where that is in the Marvel Universe, you know where this is going. He ends up landing in Madripoor, asking the locals where he's at, and they tell him, they end up telling him that he's in Madripoor. And he's running around still in the garment that he had in Wakanda. Alright. And it's at this moment that Goku realizes that he's being followed, by shadowy figures, And that's when he goes to a dark alley, sifting or seeing if he can draw them out. Then he tells them that he knows they're there. Alright, and in the alley he runs on them and takes them out. Real quick with the quickness, man. landing a blow and eliminating his stalker. It's at this point where more shadowy ninja figures pop up and also begin to attack Goku, and Goku begins to pretty easily defeat them. But he does notice that they are trained in combat, and but they're lower. They're on a lower level than the Dora Milaje he fought in Wakanda. Is at this moment that another figure that appears, who seems to have a higher status than the foot soldiers, and tells Goku to follow him if he wants to find strong opponents. Goku looks at him, as a potential threat, but he decides, Goku being Goku is always looking for new opponents and new obstacles. So he ends up going with this figure, and they start walking through the Madripoor coast, and he leads them to an underground facility. So Goku just follows along, walking by him. And it's at this point where he sees an entire army, or what appears to be an entire army, and someone standing over them. All right. In the middle of a speech telling them, "You will die one day, we all will. But I promise you all, you will die with the honor and power that you have earned." You know, Goku ends up walking through the crowd to go to the center of attention. That's at this point when Goku sees a woman standing ahead of all these soldiers. And of course, those of you that know, you know that this woman is Elektra. So they have their little conversation and whatnot. And this is when Elektra introduces herself, tells him that, you know, she's Elektra. And Goku doesn't even have the name Goku yet, so he tells him that he's Kravenov, named after his father, Craven, which was in the first part. Alright. They have their little chop up. Then they see each other. They have a little sparring match, but nothing too serious. You know. Elektra says that he definitely has the potential, as well as she does. She sees a kindred spirit of sorts, you know, and I would like to point out that Goku at this point is probably about 13 years old, and Elektra, we'll just say that she's 16. Oh yeah, I want to tell you guys this too. I decided to not make this an Earth 616 universe, which gives me more leeway to make more changes to stories, you know, if I need so fit. So I'm going to make it its own universe. For all of you know, there's multiple universes in the Marvel universe. It's going to be one of those. That way, if I do something that's a little different than the Marvel 616, I have more leeway. So I just wanted to add that as well. I think that's a good idea. Let me know what y'all think. But so Elektra ends up telling them she's seen what Goku has done, which obviously his name's Kravenov at the moment. What he's done, what he's been able to do, and she's impressed. And she thinks that he has just as much talent and potential as she does. And that's at this moment that she asks him to join her so they can better each other. And Goku agrees. Alright, it's at this point, through the training with Elektra, he learns of certain new abilities. Or he at least gets a understanding that there are more potential abilities, not just with strength, but with the mind. And he learns the assassin's instinct. You know, all the things Elektra has. The mind switch. Discern target. She can sniff out the psyche of and intent of her targets. Which this Goku really adapts to this and learns that he can sense people. But discern location, mind shield, etc. But we'll get more into that later. Alright, and it's also at this time where he learns this faction that he joined, or that he's a part of, is known as the Hand. And that's where he meets people like Yuki, Sabertooth, and Elektra, as well as other people. And he learns different people. He learns that there are different factions, but he's part of the Elektra faction. Alright, but he has seen these two characters from time to time. It's also in these moments that Elektra finds out that Goku is definitely not normal. At the very most, he might be a mutant. Or at the very least, he might be a mutant. Because as she swings one day in training, her weapon is destroyed on top of Goku's head. Or his skull, you know, and it's broken. I ain't going to say she did this. But maybe they were on an assignment. And a weapon ended up breaking on Goku's head. And then that's when Elektra realizes that he might be a mutant or something. Anyway, 2 years go by, so now Goku's about 15 years old, I say. And Elektra's about 18. And, you know what? I'll change it. Elektra was 15 when she met Goku, and Goku was 13. So at this time, Goku is 15 years old, and Elektra's about 17 years old. All right, and at this point, Goku's been even more trained in weapon combat, as well as being able to read targets. You know, now they're really Goku and Elektra have developed a really good relationship. They're real good friends, and they look out for each other. You know, but Elektra is more of a cold-blooded assassin, and Goku's more of a bodyguard. which is I'm going to go into that in a minute. So after being part of them for a while, Goku becomes to get a nickname in the hand known as the body. So they call him the body of the hand. Why is that? Because he's a bodyguard. He goes for assignments because Goku doesn't really feel like killing random people. As a matter of fact, whenever he fights strong opponents, he would rather not kill them because he wants them to get stronger in themselves. So Goku becomes known as the body of the hand, while Elektra is known as the hit woman. She's killing. She's a stepper. She's stepping on people. So they have two different they basically have two different what you would call ways of conducting their assignments. Like I said, Elektra became more of a cold blood killer. Catching bodies, boosting her body count. And Goku became more of a bodyguard, like I said, but they both, kept that cold type of demeanor. And Goku's out here taking out people, watching over certain political figures and etc. And also, Goku's really not aware of what the hand represents and all that. And he really doesn't care because Goku's just trying to fight more people and etc. And Elektra promised him, through their training that she would open up avenues of different martial arts, etc. Because you got to remember, in this world, Goku is trained by Craven. Goku's adopted father is Craven the Hunter, so he's more, he has more personality of Craven than the Goku that we're used to, at least for now. And so he begins taking out whole small armies by himself on his assignments, developing a name for himself once again. But anyway, at this time, he's assigned with a new assignment where he has to be a bodyguard for a man named William Stryker. He hires the hand security. All right, and Kravinoff, aka Goku, was then tasked with the mission of assuring his safety. But they gave Goku the alias Z for this assignment, so that's why this is going to be known as X versus Z. Y'all going to see X versus Z. All right, he was given the alias Z for this assignment. Goku doesn't really care about this guy. He's just here, doing what he's always doing, being a bodyguard. But he was deemed a high suspect, or a high target. So people would be coming after him. At least that's what the hand believed. It's at this point where Wolverine wakes up after a dream with his claws out, angry because he starts to remember the Weapon X project, and he's been getting leads resulting to people that were in charge of the Weapon X project. So he's having dreams, meditating and stuff. Not really meditating, but thinking about his loss of memory and how he became who he is. So he begins to go looking into that. He even leaves the Xmen for a while in search of trying to find who he is. And it's at this point where another figure begins to follow Wolverine, trying to bring him back into the X-Men. All right. Wolverine's leads lead him into the snow, into a base in the snow that at least he believes is there. He finds the said base, and that's when he takes out a bunch of robot machines while taking some bullets, of course. Cutting them down, and Wolverine is basically just running through these machines like they're nothing, Swiss cheese, taking a couple bullets, not really doing much damage, putting some holes in his suit. It's in this moment where Goku is alarmed of this, and Stryker is on his guard. Goku goes to go check it out, and that's when he runs into Wolverine, who looks pissed off. Wolverine's always pissed off. They have a little stare down with each other. Wolverine goes for his lunge, which makes Goku jump into the air, dodging the lunge, realizing that this man is quick, and also that he has weapons. So he jumps away. He jumps in the air and then lands back down, repositioning himself. This is when Wolverine tells this guy to get the hell out of the way. In which Goku replies, no chance, and ask him who he is. And they have a stare down for a minute. Even though Wolverine can't really see this kid's eyes, nor can Goku see Wolverine's eyes. And they're both covered through cowls and hoodies. Anyway, Goku focuses his when he repositions, Goku focuses an attack and punches Logan through a wall. Sending him back out into the snow, putting a hole in the base. It was at this moment though that Goku realized, like, what the hell is he? Because through their scuffle, the metal substance that this creature or that Logan is made out of, it actually was able to damage his skin, which, as you saw earlier, is crazy because axes just broke on his skull. So this metal wasn't ordinary metal, and Goku realizes that. Anyway, as Logan's went through the wall and back into the environment, Goku tells the hand ninjas that were around him to take Stryker to his helicopter so he can get out of there. Stryker agrees, and of course the hands say, yeah, we'll protect him with our life, blah, blah, blah. And Goku goes back to assess the situation. He goes through the window, or he goes through the hole that he made, following Logan, who is still in the snow, from getting knocked back. But Logan isn't even concerned with Goku and begins to peep that Stryker's about to escape. So he begins to climb the mountain, in hopes of destroying the helicopter, or in hopes of getting into the helicopter before Stryker can get away. But it was too late. The helicopter takes off, and Stryker's gone, away from the conflict. It's at this moment when Logan is beyond pissed and begins to draw his claws once again, but points them towards the hooded figure. And at this point, Goku takes off his hoodie, realizing that this is going to be a real challenge. Logan draws his claws, and Goku gets in his fighting stance, ready for whatever, man. They're about to come to blows, clearly. All right, they square up. And this is going to be Weapon X versus Weapon Z. All right. So Logan takes off on the offensive, still pissed off. And Goku's dodging, claws like they're nothing. Because Goku realizes that this guy might be more durable, but he's faster. And then Goku, lands a spinning back kick, knocks his ass back, sends him flying back. Wolverine has to reassert himself. But through his kick, Wolverine actually managed to claw his shirt. And that's when Goku decides to just get rid of his whole overshirt. And Wolverine reassesses himself into the snow, locking eyes with him once again, ready for round 2. Goku's just excited, saying, it's been a while since he's had to take this so serious. And at this moment, upon round 2, they start locking eyes, and they really start to look at each other and can clearly see that both of them are seasoned veterans in their own like. But then Wolverine also begins to notice that this isn't a grown man. This is still a kid, a teenager. And then that's when, they start seeing each other and they start to have a type of respect for one another. Because as we know, Wolverine been catching bodies for the longest. And Goku's making a name for himself, taking out, whole militaries, whole armies, or whole small armies. So they develop a respect for one another, and Wolverine decides to put his claws away. Decides to put his claws away and do a hand-to-hand combat with this kid. In which Goku is against the idea. He wants to, fight his opponent at his strongest, but, he'll take what he can get. That's why he's mad as hell right there. So anyway, Wolverine runs up on him, appearing to be faster than he was before, and gets a gut shot on Goku, which completely throws him off. He's like, and then he realizes he's got hit by a damn truck, knocking the wind out of him and knocking him back. Goku then responds with a punch of his own, putting a lot of force in it and knocking Wolverine back into the building, back into the abandoned military building facility, putting a damn dent in it once again. So knocking him back, so they go back to trading blows. Then they charge each other once again, with ferocity. locking arms right there, locking fists, clashing. Uh, Neither one giving an inch of weakness. You know, and then that clash turns into them both hitting each other in the face. You know, Goku getting a lock on the jaw of Logan, and Logan putting a dent in the cheek of Goku, knocking the spit out of his mouth. You know, then Logan gets another hit. Wolverine gets another hit on Goku, sending him back and putting distance between them. Goku takes this opportunity to run back, use the wall as leverage, and boost off of it. You know, it's at this moment where Goku uses his weight, uses the force that he generated, the inertia, to land a spinning drop kick to Logan. You know, also using his speed. You know, as the same way that Logan cranked up his speed, he cranked up his own speed, and he gets a good shot to Logan's head with a drop kick, knocking him over a cliff. You know, Goku's kind of mad. He's like, "Oh man, you know, I didn't want this fight to be over soon." And you know, because he just started to respect Logan and stuff, so he's actually kind of pissed and let down that he actually knocked Logan off a cliff. And you know, Logan of course went off, but at that moment he senses something, and he dodges just in time. He dodges a blast. This character is then revealed to be Jubilee, and Goku is staring down at this new assailant. It's like, who the hell is this, you know? And then Jubilee's just looking at him, saying, you know, basically in her mind with seriousness, wondering where Logan is. It's at this point when Jubilee begins to analyze the situation. She sees the cowl of Logan on the floor, meaning his mask. She sees a hole in the facility and blood splatter. So while she's assessing all that, Goku's like, man, my clothes are torn up again. Seeming to imply that Goku gets his clothes ripped all the time, you know. But after seeing all this, Jubilee then begins to go on the offensive, wondering what this teen did to Logan. That's when she launches a bunch of scatter ballistics, a bunch of her abilities, and Goku just goes on the defensive, dodging all these attacks, wondering what the hell is going on. This is the first time he's went against somebody with powers, or at least somebody with projection powers. Meanwhile, she's just, you know, letting it spraying it down, spraying the block. Alright, then we cut back to Wolverine, who went off the cliff. He emerges from the snow, pissed off, of course, you know, in classic Wolverine fashion. And it's at this point that Wolverine finds another opponent, which is none other than Sabertooth. You know, they lock eyes. Turns out Sabertooth was aware that Logan was looking for Stryker. You know, so he's also here. That's when they stare down and Sabertooth starts to begin, so the kid put you on your ass, you know, saying stuff like that. Basically taunting Wolverine and saying that kid, you know, and Wolverine's like, I was going easy on him, blah, blah, blah. And Sabertooth's like, you got no idea who that kid is. You know, talking about that run strong. Anyway, they face off in classic Sabertooth Wolverine fashion. They start coming to blows, you know, just healing from every attack, you know, bleeding and regenerating. Whole time they're talking shit to each other in classic fashion. You know, like I just said, that's when they go on their own offense. Now back to the battle between Jubilee and Goku. Jubilee finally lands a hit on Goku, right in the dead center of his body, sending him back in an explosion. And just when Goku recovers, he receives another shot to the back, sending him even further back into the building. All right, putting him on his ass. You know, and it's when Goku realizes that he's losing. You know, like plus he's already tired from fighting Wolverine. You know, so Goku starts realizing that he's losing for the first time in a while, and then that's when he starts to meditate while he's in the building that he was just blasted into. He starts to remember the the words of his master T'Challa, telling him that he should utilize his body as if he was like the Panther suit, extending his abilities. He needs to harness his potential, use his body like a Panther suit. Therefore, and continue to upgrade and synergize the suit you possess, but maintain the spirit of an earthly man. All right, so he starts remembering all that, and that's when something happens. In the same way that T'Challa had his purple blast suit, Goku begins to shake the ground to a degree. Rocks or snow and debris begin to build up on him. Jubilee doesn't know what the hell's going on. Meanwhile, Goku is at his second wind. Then he begins to knock all of her blasts away like they're nothing, sending the projectiles in the stands, packing all those shots. All right, with his newfound wind. He then begins to charge at Jubilee with max acceleration. Jubilee begins to know that, oh no, this is a threat. She has to do something. So she begins to put her glasses onto her face and begun to do one of her signature moves that she's developed. And then that's when she uses her Flare Blitz. We're going to call it Flare Blitz move. All right. She uses that, which is a combination of a blinding light and a concentrated firework blast. So it blinds Goku with the light at first, and then hits him directly and sending him flying back once again. Jubilee is happy that she managed to put Goku on his ass, thinking that she won. And then it's at this moment where Goku gets the drop, gets up, harnesses all the energy that he had locked up into one arm, and points it towards Jubilee. This whole time his eyes are closed, by the way, because he's still blinded by the light she used. Projects his wind fist towards her. It hits her right in the gut. And, of course you see her. She's like, holy, beep. She didn't have time to dodge or counter what was about to happen. So she's then hit, and she's sitting here. And as she's on the way to the ground, as she's hitting the ground, she's like, how are you able to know where I was? And this is when Goku gives her the skin. He says, by feeling the flow of the tiny air currents, I was able to think or to see where you are when it was dark. All right, even in the dark, I can tell what you're doing. All right, so he was able to hit her that way. He was able to sense her. Remember, he was learning that from Elektra. So then then she's out of energy, exhausted. The wind was knocked out of her, and Goku stands over, victorious, gives her a thumbs up, and says, "Good fight, GG's, man." Meanwhile, Logan has put Logan's whooping Sabertooth's ass finally, and ends up knocking him into the water where he goes downstream. So that's an L for Sabertooth. He got an L off screen, man. I did old boy dirty. Anyway, Logan climbs back up. He's got blood on his claws, etc. And then Jubilee and Logan meet up. They hug, and she's like, "You got to come back to the xmen." Blah 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 blah. And Goku's just excited that he got to fight two strong opponents. And his mission was a success, meaning that Elektra wasn't going to get on his ass, etc. Because Stryker was able to get away, and he was able to fight two strong opponents. And Wolverine's upset that Stryker got away, but he knows he'll find him again someday. So everything worked out. At least it seemed that way. It's at this point where Goku asked him what their names are, and this is when Wolverine says his name's Wolverine, but he can call him Logan. And Jubilee says her name's Jubilee, or really Jubilation Lee, but you can call her Jubilee. And then he said, well, my name's Kravenov. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to make it to where Goku doesn't even say his name. He's still just going to say, oh, I'm Z. You can call me Z. Because remember, that was the alias he was given by the hand on this assignment. All right. So, anyway, they start to chill. Wolverine goes to get something that they can eat for the fire. He starts making a fire. He's going to go hunt, gets them something to eat. Goku's chilling, you know, asking Jubilee about her powers and whatnot, saying, you know, how could she do what she does? And that's when she tells him that she and Logan are mutants, and that they have different abilities that they can do. And then Goku's really intrigued. He's like, oh yeah, well, you know, is all you can do are explosions? And she's like, no, actually, no, let me show you something. And she forms all those clusters and she sends them in the air, you know, like so. And she spells her name Jubilee as fireworks. She says, actually, I can make fireworks. You know. But all that is halted when a shadow figure creeps up on Jubilee from back, you know, grabs her from behind and puts his claws towards her throat, really. You know, Sabertooth's laughing menacingly, talking about good work, kid, and you let their guard down, etc. Meanwhile, Wolverine's like, how could I not smell you? You know, I guess it had to be a combination of the fire and the fireworks and, you know, just different things. But anyway, he wasn't able to smell Sabertooth. Meanwhile, Goku's about to go on the offense, saying, you know, let her go and etc. And Jubilee's just, you know, in fear. And that at the same time that's happening, Goku's still watching the fireworks, but he's still looking at the sky because past the fireworks is what? A full moon. Yeah. So he sees a full moon coming, and then he's just entranced by what he's watching. And it's at that moment when Sabertooth and Wolverine look at the boy at the same time, getting that feeling of threat, you know, getting that feeling that something worse is coming. Meanwhile, Jubilee is just, you know, looking at her fireworks dying down, looking at Goku, wondering if he's okay. And then that's when he begins to transform into the Great Ozaru, the Great Ape. Alright. And then Goku gets into his full Great Ape form. And then that's when they realize that if they're going to make it out alive, they're going to have to team up and defeat whatever the hell this is. You know? So they lock up ready for the round with the beast. Alright. Sabertooth, being Sabertooth, decides to go first. And he launches his attack, getting a couple scratches on, till he's grabbed with the massive hand of the Ozaru. And it's at this point where Logan and Jubilee charge, Wolverine and Jubilee charge against the Great Ape. And at this moment, the Great Ape throws Sabertooth back at him, knocking him back all on their ass. Wolverine's the first to get back up, jumps on some trees, gets a couple shots in on the forehead of the Great Ape, getting some marks in, which pisses him off. Him and Sabertooth are able to dodge most of his attacks, as you can see. But he ends up getting a shot on Wolverine, knocking his ass through a couple trees. You know. Jubilee then steps in and starts to shoot her firework beams against him once again. And this gives the Great Ape an idea, and the Great Ape launches a blast out of its mouth, which levels the rest of the military base, destroying it entirely. Learning that from Jubilee's attack. You know, that's when bleeding from the cuts, he begins to beat his chest in triumph. You know, thinking that he's already won. Remember, he's still a beast. He isn't Goku. He doesn't have really any intelligence. He's acting more savage. And this is when Jubilee looks into the ape and saying that this is Goku. Like, this guy really is, you know, this can't be the same person they just were talking to. You know, but she sees Goku inside of this beast, you know, in a way. You know, and hopefully he can be able to return back to normal. It's at this moment when Sabertooth looks at Goku, realizing that, oh, wait, you know, this tail. He remembers, he has a flashback, basically. He has a flashback. He remembers when he had grabbed Goku's tail, you know, basically messing with Goku. Goku's tail gets hurt, and he realizes he's in deep pain, and he squares up on Sabertooth saying, hey, man, don't touch my tail. You know, then they have a little scuffle fight. You know, and then, of course, Sabertooth being sadistic, he just laughs when he did that to Goku's tail. But then that's when Sabertooth puts it all together, and he begins to lick his lips. All right, you know, and that's when but while he's licking his lips, he realizes that he's pinned down by a tree that he was thrown into, or he's pinned down by trees that he was thrown into by the great ape. And then that's when he begins to yell to Logan and Jubilee to aim for his tail. You know, aim for his tail. That's the weakness. And then that's when they go once again charging at him again. And this is when Jubilee does her move that she did on Goku in their first fight, where she puts her glasses on and uses her Flare Blitz attack, and once again blinds the great ape. He's blinded now, and he's hit by a blast that staggers him. And this is when Wolverine takes the opportunity to go for a series of slashes, and he ends up swiping the tail off, you know. Kind of like in slow motion. He finally makes it, cuts his tail off, you know. And it's at this moment when Jubilee's looking from all her fireworks, you know, down and down from, because she used her full power on that attack. And then it's at this moment where Goku goes back to normal, you know, shrinking back down to his original state with no clothes on, of course. So he ends up on the ground completely exhausted. Sabertooth dips out in the midst of all this chaos. They look at the trees and debris, and he's gone. And all that is left is these two, Wolverine and Jubilee, looking over Goku, who is completely exhausted and passed out, wondering what the hell just happened, and is this kid a mutant? And, you know, wondering, basically a bunch of questions in their heads. You know, but they decide to take Goku down to the nearest city or nearest town, village, whatever. So they dip off. Meanwhile, Elektra gets word that Goku hasn't returned from his assignment, so personally begins to decides she's personally going to investigate what happened to Goku, because Stryker made it out, but Goku never returned. So she begins to wonder, and then she decides to go address the matter herself, look into the matter herself, and that's where we're going to end it on. You know, so that's the next rendition of What If Goku Landed in the Marvel World. I hope you guys liked it. I know I could have put my words better, but you know, hey, I ain't got a script. You know, I hope you guys liked it. If you did like it, like, comment, subscribe, of course. You know, I'm gonna come up with the next part soon, and peace.